Greetings, Rebel fans. My name is Jason Kelly. This is the Let's Run podcast. I want to welcome you all to the show today. It's been a little bit since we talked. UNLV was on a bye week. There's a lot of news that's been coming out about the program. I thought about going live to talk about it, but I was going to do 2 live shows today anyway, breaking down the matchup versus Colorado State and all the news that's coming out of UNLV basketball right now. This season has gone from a disaster to a calamity, as really the Runnin' Rebels have kind of fallen apart. I mean, you wouldn't think it, but we are actually on a 3-game winning streak right now. Now, of course, those 3 games have come against pretty weak competition at Wyoming, Air Force, and Fresno State, I believe, are the 3 teams. And especially with what's going on at Fresno State right now, that makes the win look a little bit more suspect, at least from a gambling perspective. In case you're unaware, although I'm sure that if you're watching this, you've seen the news that Fresno is locked up in some sort of gambling controversy where there are allegations of players participating in some sort of, I don't know, I wouldn't call it point shaving by any means, but something to do with gambling and Fresno, and they've suspended half their players, and they lost to Air Force today, one of the worst teams in college basketball. So certainly lots of bad things going on at Fresno right now, but lots of bad things going on at UNLV. So I guess I'll go through the news kind of sequentially. We'll talk about it. And then, of course, at the end of the podcast, we will break down this Colorado State home game tonight against the Rams at the Thomas & Mack. So right now, we found out on Thursday morning. I'm not 100% sure, but really it was there was a rumor going around on a Rebel chat board. That was kind of the first win that we caught about it. If you went back and watched the Fresno game from a week ago today, there was a moment where DJ looked like he was kind of clutching for his shoulder. I don't know exactly when the injury happened. It could have happened a while ago, and maybe it's something DJ's been nursing. But DJ suffered some sort of shoulder injury. Mike Lange says, do they dare use Didon Thomas Jr.'s injury as a reason to bring Kevin Kruger back? No, Kevin Kruger's fate was sealed a while ago. It was probably after the New Mexico home game, I think, was probably the final straw for Kevin Kruger. The only conceivable way he would come back is if they won the Mountain West Conference tournament. But again, if you follow college basketball and you follow especially the politics and the way that the Mountain West plays out, UNLV is not going to win the Mountain West Conference tournament. Everybody knows that. So Kevin Kruger's gone. This injury doesn't really change anything, which is why – when I found out about the news, it was, again, just mostly through rumors. And honestly, it was before the media had anything, any inkling of what was going on in Las Vegas. The burner accounts were talking about this DJ Thomas news. It was really, online UNLV Twitter fans that knew and were talking about it before, long before the media officially got word of it. And what's frustrating is, you go to the Review Journal, the Las Vegas Sun, Callie Finn, Mike Grimala. I don't know what type of arrangement they have with the school, but they're acting like it's not a season-ending injury for DJ. From what I understand, and again, I'm not a reporter. You shouldn't come to this show for anything but commentary. I don't report things. I'm not the person to give you an inside scoop. That's just not my role. There are other people that can do that better than I can. But from what I understand, it's a torn labrum in his right shoulder, which is a pretty serious injury. allegations. I'm sure that some Rebel fans will be frustrated with the disappointing sophomore season of DJ Thomas, but like this is a real injury. It's not something he's faking. It's not something he's not quitting on the team. He's not doing anything like that. He's not like that either. DJ is by all accounts is a hardworking, great teammate who hasn't had as good of a second year as we would have hoped, but this is not something that DJ has any control over. I mean, a torn labrum is a serious injury, and so ultimately he is done for the year. And yet, if you go to the Review Journal or the Las Vegas Sun, or even if you listen to Kevin Kruger's comments, that he made to Steve Cofield from the court when he was talking to media, the team is still acting like DJ isn't done for the year when he absolutely is. Now, there's a couple reasons why they do that. Um, we remember the Hodge Malik Williams, Matthew Sluka, Cam Friel quarterback battle. There's something to be said about trying to keep your opponents on their toes, not knowing who you're going to play or not. Certainly, this Colorado State game is a big game. I mean, it's a big game in a sense that it's a game against a good team at home that you'd really like to win. But Colorado State knows that DJ is not playing. And frankly, DJ as a hometown hero type kid, I think it's a little unfair to kind of act like he's going to, act like there's a chance that he could play when he's not going to play. And I wish that the media could be a little harder on UNLV sports specifically. And I saw this with football too. Now with football, it's not as bad because they're winning. But with basketball, I mean, it's just obnoxious, and you shouldn't, there could be a kid who isn't on Twitter, a family who isn't super online that goes to the games and they follow UNLV sports, and maybe the only thing they see is the Review Journal or the Las Vegas Sun, and they might not even see that. And they should know that DJ Thomas isn't going to be playing. They should, he's people's favorite player, and for good reason. So I think it's a little unfair that the Las Vegas media doesn't, kind of doesn't hold UNLV's foot to the fire in terms of the way that they cover the teams a little bit. But that's the way that they've decided to cover it. I hope my podcast can act as a sort of bridge for that. But ultimately, they're going to have their own media relationship, and we have no control over that. So DJ Thomas will not be playing tonight, by all accounts. And we're going to see a team that starts Jalen Bedford. Maybe Brooklyn Hicks is going to get a lot more playing time. We're going to see a team that isn't centered around one guy trying to get a shot. We're going to see a team that really has to try and win as, five guys on the court. And honestly, like, as sad as I am, I am excited to see how they play. Like the thing is, we don't really know what they're going to be like without DJ. I think Jalen Bedford is a player with tremendous offensive upside and capability, and ultimately, I think that he can, put up a lot of points. And so, DJ being out, that's 40 minutes a game essentially that we're going to have to replace in the rotation. And you're going to see Jalen Bedford and Brooklyn Hicks get a lot of minutes, and those are guys that I want to see play. That I've been frustrated with the role that Kevin Kruger has put them in all year. We're going to see these guys get some run, and I'm kind of excited to see that, to be honest with you. Frankly, the DJ Thomas era, I will probably, wait until his transfer announcement is official. Especially with us firing Kevin Kruger at the end of this year, I would not expect DJ Thomas to return. Obviously, that's still his decision. I don't know what's going on inside his head, but just common sense and knowledge about the way that college basketball works says that DJ Thomas is not going to be back next year. That he'll probably transfer for a nice little NIL check and have a chance to compete at a higher level than he ever did at UNLV. The DJ Thomas era will kind of be seen as probably as a what if, to be honest with you. I mean, he was excellent at the end of last year. He had great moments this year, but this year the team didn't really click. And last year's team, DJ was supposed to be in high school last year. He was still supposed to be a senior at Liberty in Las Vegas last year. And ultimately he came out a year early, and the seniors and the coaching around him last year led to some really bad losses that put what should have been a tournament team in the NIT last year. UNLV should have made the NCAA tournament last year and didn't. And that wasn't DJ's fault. I mean, DJ was 17, 18, trying to lead a team, and ultimately, last year's failure was really unfortunate. Now, it was still fun to win those couple NIT games, but last year's failure is not on DJ. And this year, he hasn't elevated his game, but at the same time, the talent around him hasn't been as good as it was last year. I think that you can look at the coaching staff, and obviously, injuries play a role in this as well. Rob Whaley being out for the year has been really a devastating injury for this team and really set this team back from the beginning. But however, Rob Whaley, it's not like Rob Whaley was going to lead this team to, a top 10 seed in the NCAA tournament either. It's not like every team deals with injuries. San Diego State is missing arguably their second best or first best player in Reese Waters. There are injuries in college basketball. It's just the way it goes. So, the Rob Whaley injury is sucks, and he's probably gone, most definitely gone at the end of this year as well because of the coaching change. But it's not an excuse. Ultimately, you have to build a team with depth that can play together and play with confidence. And Kevin Kruger hasn't done that. So DJ Thomas is, the hometown kid that should have been the guy to bring UNLV basketball back to relevance. It didn't work out. And that's not him. That's not his fault. He gave everything that we could have reasonably asked him as a player to UNLV and to the city of Las Vegas. And it's a bummer. It's a big bummer. I'm sad about it. We have probably, for the last time, watched DJ Thomas play basketball at the Thomas and Mack Center. Probably. I mean, here's the thing. Because the official media reporters aren't willing to report it, I have to use the word probably, but he's not coming back, guys, to be honest with you. So that was the first big piece of news. The second big piece of news was that UNLV either withdrew, they were pulled from the Maui Invitational Tournament. Now, the Maui tournament is generally one of two of the big college basketball non-conference tournaments that happen in November during Thanksgiving. Maui being one, and they usually get some of the best teams in the country to go to Maui. And the other one being the Battle for Atlantis, which happens in the Bahamas. Usually the best teams in college basketball play in these tournaments. UNLV, you can only go every 4 years or 5 years. And UNLV was our turn to go again. We went 4 years ago with TJ Otzelberger's second year. That was the COVID year. And so I think the tournament took place in North Carolina. But it's a big opportunity, and UNLV was signed up to go to the tournament and ultimately is now not going to the tournament, to the Maui Invitational, which is sad because I was planning on, I had some plans to maybe go. You don't get a chance to go to Maui and watch the Runnin' Rebels play a few times. That was kind of a bummer, a big bummer actually. I was really excited for that, and it's just not a good look to have your team be a part of a national tournament and then be pulled out of it like that. And let alone the team that replaced us in the tournament was Boise State. Martin's asking about the DJ injury. Hey, Martin. So do you think that DJ is actually hurt, or is there something else going on in the background? I think it is a bit convenient that it happened all of a sudden. So from what I saw in the Fresno State game, DJ seemed to have been dealing with a shoulder injury. I believe DJ is absolutely hurt. Absolutely. I think if he were available to play, if he were physically capable to play, he would play. This will be the first game, DJ's father said this will be the first game in DJ's basketball career, high school and college, that he has missed because of injury. The first time ever. So DJ is absolutely hurt. But, it's still unfortunate. But back to Maui. Why was UNLV taken out of the Maui field? Now, there's a couple options. My first instinct was to say that we were basically pulled out of it by the tournament, the people who run the tournament. We were told, actually, we don't want you to come. Maybe because Kevin Kruger will not be back, and maybe our lack of performance this year has led them to take us out of consideration for Maui. In retrospect, that probably isn't the case. I don't know what UNLV could have done to be eliminated or, not unselected from the Maui Invitational Tournament. I don't think that's what happened in retrospect. I think the school probably willingly pulled out. Even financially, usually Maui is a tournament that's big enough that the vast majority of your costs are paid for by the tournament when you go to Maui. So I do not think that it was even a financial issue. But I I think the school withdrew. I do. In my opinion. Now this isn't sourced or anything. This is just a guess from me. But I think the source looked at Kevin Kruger not returning. They looked at maybe there are other tournament opportunities for the basketball team. Um, there is an effort to revitalize and restore UNLV basketball going on behind the scenes. There are boosters that are the tin is being passed around to try and collect money to hire a new coach. They're trying to figure out what they can do to get this program back on the right track. And so I think that the Rebels pulled themselves out, and there was the thought maybe that they were trying to enter into the NIL tournament that it takes place in Las Vegas. Um, Perhaps they thought with a new head coach they didn't want to throw them into the fire of Maui right away. I really don't know, but either way, it's not a good look. It's not a good look for the administration. It's not a good look for Kevin Kruger. I don't think that Kevin Kruger played a role in pulling UNLV from this tournament. I think it was all the athletic department. Blurt says, I've been told outside of you and our haters post that the Players Era is a thing. Yeah, this is the tournament, the Players Era tournament. It's an NIL tournament that takes place in the city of Las Vegas where you can basically compete. Every player that plays in it gets a small NIL check, and you can complete for, I think it's like $1 million that is distributed amongst your team. So it's a great financial opportunity. That is probably the goal of the school. Whether they actually get it or not is going to be the question. If they get into the Players Era tournament, that is excellent, and it will actually be even better competition than the Maui Invitational. But still, I mean, unless you know that you're getting in there, how do you pull out of Maui? That just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. So we're going to have to see what happens there. I'm looking forward to figuring it out. Honestly, it sucks because Maui is a great place to go to, and I know that a lot of Rebel fans were planning on making that trip down there. But ultimately, we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what happens. Hopefully, the Players Era tournament is something they can get into. But that is a very prestigious tournament right now, and it's very wanted. It's very desirable amongst college athletic teams, and so we just don't really know until we know. So now let's talk about, is he confirmed out for the season? The brace looks promising. Vinny, I think he's done for the season. The thing is, because I'm not a reporter, I can't confirm that to you because all I know is what I've been told. And I haven't been told that from people that are actual source. It's all secondhand. So I believe that he has a torn labrum and is done for the season. But again, I'm not a reporter, so you can only take what I say with a grain of salt. I think he's done for the year. Absolutely done for the year. I don't think there's any way he plays. But the team is trying to publicly at least make it seem like there's a chance that he could come back. So I guess let's jump into this Colorado State game. And I will have a long and detailed post-game show. We'll talk about a lot of this stuff again after. Just because it's all news and the post-game shows generally get better numbers than these pre-game shows do. And also I can post these post-game shows, they're easier to watch later because, obviously we don't know the result of this Colorado State game yet. But after the game, we'll see. Banana Man says, do I think DJ is transferring or testing the NBA waters? I think he's transferring. He's not an NBA player right now. I don't think he will ever be an NBA player. I think he could play professionally somewhere, but I don't think that DJ has the physical skills to be an NBA player. He's a solid player. He doesn't shoot enough. He's not fast enough. He's more of a crafty player, an on-the-ground player. He's not a good enough athlete. He's too small. He'd be bullied in the NBA. Do I think he could play professionally somewhere in the world? Absolutely. But I think that transferring is going to be the ultimate goal for DJ. And I would not be surprised. The schools that I would look out for DJ are Florida and Houston. Those are the two that I would guess would be the top targets, and that's just a guess again for DJ Thomas. So keep putting your comments in the chat. I'll keep putting them up on the screen. But let's dive into the game matchup versus Colorado State. So let's do that. So I personally think that Colorado State is an absolutely horrific matchup for us, even with DJ. I heard Kansas from somebody really close to his family. Yeah, I mean Kansas. You never know. The schools that were, sorry to keep going back to this, but I just want to make sure that I get everybody's comments here. Banana Man says I heard Kansas from somebody close to his family. Absolutely, Kansas could be an option. Basically, a lot of Big 12 schools could be up for game here. I know that Florida and Houston were amongst the schools that were pursuing him last year. So the reason why I say then, DJ, there was a lot of smoke about him entering the transfer portal at the end of last season, which in retrospect for him would have probably been a good idea because his stock is probably going to be higher. I missed mine up there. Did I miss another one? Oh, I'm sorry, Martin. I thought I put it up. Yeah. Is this one the one that you're talking about? Okay, thanks. I thought I don't see any other ones from you, Martin, but anyway, yeah, Kansas could absolutely be an option. I just know that Florida and interesting. Sorry, Martin, I didn't see another comment from you. I wonder if it was hidden or something. Maybe it glitched out there. If you want to retype it, I'd love to talk about it. But yeah, Kansas could absolutely be an option. They're a team that every team in college basketball could use a steady point guard. And I think DJ's role as a pure distributor is probably the best role for him. So, and I think at a bigger school with more talent around him, with more physically gifted athletes around him, and in a true point guard kind of distributing fashion, DJ could be a Final Four caliber point guard. I don't think he can be the best player on a team like that, but I do think he can be the leader and the point guard on a team like that. So there you go. So Colorado State. Let's talk about Colorado State. I'm going to go into game prep mode here for a minute. Colorado State is currently ranked 66th in KenPom, UNLV up to 95. So they're top 100 right now, which whoop-de-doo. Look, Colorado State is sorry about that. Colorado State is a team that plays incredibly disciplined basketball. They do not make big mistakes on the perimeter. They don't gamble a ton. They play pretty conservatively on the defensive end. But you really have to hit shots and have elite shot making talent and performance to beat a team like Colorado State. Their best player is a guy who is, could be the best. I mean, I know Donovan Dent is probably, and deservedly so, going to win the Mountain West Conference Player of the Year from New Mexico. But Nick Clifford from Colorado State, I think, could be the best player in the league, at least maybe from a professional standpoint. He's having a great year, 37% from three, almost 60% from two, 6'6", big frame, great rebounder, ranks 19th in defensive rebounding rate. So he's an incredible defensive rebounder. Efficient player who really gave the Rebels fits last time that we played them up in Fort Collins. Another guy, kind of a 6'8" forward, Jalen Crocker-Johnson. Excellent player, 36% from three. He plays a little bit on the perimeter, but he has a little bit more size. And Bemba, he's a bit bigger, not as good of a three-point shooter. I'm sure the Rebels will want to sag off of him, but he's a 6'7" forward. In terms of their point guard, they use Keon Evans and Jalen Lake. They have a really solid starting five without a lot of holes in their lineup. So Colorado State is absolutely a balanced team. Now their bench isn't great. I like from their bench. My favorite player is definitely Keyshawn Williams. Decent shooter on okay efficiency. Very efficient player. Actually gets a lot of does pretty well in terms of getting blocks. This Colorado State team is not spectacular, but what they are is just solid. The Rebels will have to play probably their best game of the season to have a chance in this one. Now, obviously, without DJ Thomas, that's going to be hard regardless. But when you look at the Colorado State The Colorado State offense is ranked top. It's 61 in the country. That's a great offensive stat. UNLV, for reference, is at 137. The Colorado State defense is ranked 87. So they do have a little bit of vulnerability. And the UNLV defense actually has gone up a lot in the recent past. Kevin Kruger has been attempting to build a defensive oriented team. And while he has failed, there have been times where there has been defensive promise for Kevin Kruger. So what are the keys for this game? Colorado State, they rebound the ball pretty well. They get after it. Their effective field goal percentage is really good. They're just solid. UNLV is going to have to play an A-plus game to beat them. My prediction for this game, KenPom has it as a 72-71 Colorado State victory. KenPom, which is the analytics site that basically everybody uses to discuss and look analytically at college basketball, has this as a coin flip game. However, I do not think that KenPom realizes that DJ Thomas is not playing in this game. And so, Rebels probably have a 20-25% chance of winning this game. And my ultimate score prediction, I don't think it's going to be particularly close. You're probably going to see some fun scoring moments with Jalen Bedford and Julian Rishwain. Hopefully a little bit of Brooklyn Hicks on the fast break. But I guess we'll see. I mean, the hope for this team is that they can pull off something called the Ewing theory. If you're a big podcast listener, you might know what the Ewing theory is. But the 1999-2000 lockout shortened New York Knicks. It was towards the end of Patrick Ewing's career. He was still pretty good at that time. But he got hurt right before the playoffs, and the Knicks ended up going on a crazy run to the NBA Finals without their best player. And so every time a team loses their best player, there is an analysis that you have to do whether the team actually improves over the short term, and it's called the Ewing theory. And it's because more players have more opportunities, you get more talent out of more spots in the roster. Guys are playing a little bit more free because there's less pressure on them now that they're missing their best player. That's kind of the hope. So I think this game is going to be something like 75-61. I think Colorado State will probably come in and beat us pretty good. It'll probably be a pretty bleak atmosphere in the Thomas and Mack tonight, to be honest with you. So a couple of comments here. BG, appreciate you, man. I think I've seen you at the games before, BG. You're a good guy. Does the school motivate the students to attend anymore? There's no energy in the MAC the last couple of years. Only the longtime fans. They will be gone soon. So what I'll say, BG, is that I don't think the attendance is going to get any worse than it is right now. I think that we are at the literal rock bottom for attendance for UNLV basketball. Does the school motivate students to attend anymore? Yeah, absolutely. The issue with students is, and this unless you go to like BYU or Grand Canyon or Utah State, students are notoriously fickle in terms of attending college basketball games and even college football games. To be honest with you, it's the fans around them that have to be the consistent ones. So the school is doing things, although the school did a lot more last year than they're doing this year to get students out. Last year they had food parties, they had tuition giveaways. This year hasn't been a ton of that. There was an okay attendance against. There's an okay attendance against Boise State. But, yeah, I mean, the school's doing things, but it feels like the school's kind of cut the cord on Kevin Kruger a little bit this year, and it isn't really pouring resources into the program anymore. But, yeah, the MAC is absolutely dead at the moment. There's no doubt about that. However, I have faith that, the university is going to knock this next hire out of the park. They're going to get a great coach who's going to come in and do a really good job. So I apologize for that noise. No problem. But let me know if it's bothering you, and maybe we'll end a little bit early. But I think the school is going to knock it out of the park, and I think the Thomas and Mack is going to get back to a really fun place next year. A couple more comments. Is Henley going to play point guard? So that was talked about in the Las Vegas Sun article. Henley did play point guard when he was a bit younger, so I think you could see some Henley point guard minutes. I would expect a lot of Jalen Bedford. It's probably going to be point guard by committee. I don't think that you're going to see a designated point guard as much this game. I would not expect Henley to play primarily point guard, but you're definitely going to see him bring the ball up the court, which I think is a good idea because Colorado State is not generally a team that plays a lot of pressure defense full court. So I think Henley bringing the ball up the court is a good idea, and it's something absolutely that we will see. Colorado State, their chances of making the NCAA tournament are pretty slim. They're not going to make it. They have too many bad losses. They have too many losses, actually. They have a better chance than Reno or, us, definitely. But they probably are behind Boise State in terms of their chances to make the tournament. Colorado State would probably need to win the Mountain West Conference tournament, especially with our underperformance in the NCAA tournament last year as a conference. I don't think the NCAA is going to want to give the Mountain West 4 or 5 bids. I think it's going to be a 3-bid league with San Diego State getting in, largely because of a pretty good non-conference slate. So I think Bedford has a year of eligibility left now because of the JUCO ruling. Bedford is a player. Yeah, that's probably true. Bedford probably does have an extra year of eligibility. I didn't realize that he played at a JUCO. But I guess now that I think about it, when I was doing my prep on him as a player, yeah, Jalen Bedford probably does have an extra year of eligibility. Do I think that he will do that year at UNLV? Probably not. Just because when you fire a coach, like we're going to fire Kevin Kruger, all the players can transfer without penalty immediately. And so I imagine Bedford will use his final year of eligibility, which I assume he's going to have probably at another school. But, maybe our new coach will want to keep him around with, but if Kevin Kruger's the coach, I know Bedford ain't going to be here because those two absolutely hate each other. We need the rebellion back and also Hey Reb. Absolutely. The school needs to bring back Hey Reb in some form. I'm not even saying that it needs to be in the exact same form as it was. But, just these cowards that don't love UNLV, that aren't even at UNLV anymore, made that decision to take our mascot away. And it's a disgrace, and it's frankly disgusting, and I absolutely hate it. Banana Man says, put Alex Orji on the floor. Yeah, Alex Orji is our transfer quarterback from the University of Michigan, and he is a physical specimen. The dude looks like a Greek god. Does he have a great throwing arm? Not really. He didn't at Michigan, at least, but I'm excited to see some Alex Orji. I think Colandrea, the other player, the transfer quarterback from Virginia, is probably our best bet at quarterback, but Alex Orji certainly will compete for that starting quarterback spot and be a great player. BG says, see you guys in the Mountain West Championship. FUNR, F Boise, F SDSU. Passion is still here. Love this podcast. Enjoy your summer, everyone. Yeah, absolutely. The thing is, these podcasts still do pretty well. For a program that's as dead and as moribund as we seem like we are, I know personally, just from interacting with UNLV fans, there still is a passion for UNLV basketball. It's just been beaten out of us, and Colandrea is going to be the starter. I agree. Colandrea, sorry, I think is how you say his name. But yeah, there's absolutely a passion for UNLV basketball, and I think that it's going to be rekindled next year. I have absolute faith that the school, as critical as I've been of them of the Pac-12 stuff, I think the school is going to make a great hire, and we're going to have a really fun team next year. I have full confidence in that, no doubt in my mind that that's going to happen. And I'm excited to see who they hire. I think they're going to try and spend some serious money. I think they're going to try and get $2 million or something, maybe $3 million, to try and go out there and get an expensive basketball coach that's going to bring UNLV back next year. That's going to happen. So, guys, I have another 40-minute show or 45-minute show or something that I'll do after the game ends. But I'm predicting a UNLV loss to Colorado State. I had to do the podcast a little bit earlier because I got to get down to the Thomas and Mack. I will be there. Again, as always, if you're at the Mac and you want to meet up and shake hands and talk UNLV sports, just DM me. I'd love to talk to you. I'd love to meet you no matter who you are. Don't be afraid to do that. I'm at the games, so if you're there too, shoot me a message. Let's talk. And if you ever just want to talk about UNLV sports, feel free to DM me. And if I ever tweet something that you don't quite understand or don't get, DM me. I will respond to you. I respond to pretty much everybody. There's nobody that I don't respond to. So, guys, I appreciate you. I hope you have a wonderful day. We play in about 2.5 hours. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing how this team plays without DJ Thomas. And it should be a fun time. We may not win, but the pressure's kind of off, and we get to see some guys that don't normally get the opportunity to try and win a game, go out there and try and win a game. So, guys, you have a wonderful day. I will talk to you after the game, and let's run.